What's going on, everybody? How has your weekend been? How is your Sunday going? Hope you are having a good time. Hope you are enjoying the weather wherever you are. Hope you're just having a good weekend. I know it's been one of those days. It's a nice day. Been busy all day, but now I am here with you back at United vs. Everybody. Of course, I am your host, Sean. You are the UVE community. Let's get down to it, you guys, because we are back to talk a little Man United transfer news. The transfer window is officially open. It's open now. Remember, it started a little earlier this year to accommodate this bullcrap Club World Cup, but it's officially open. And it's quite frankly, it's officially the start of what really could be the most important transfer window of United's, of our club, just in recent memory, at least for me anyway. This is a super important window. Quite frankly, it could make or break a lot as far as United goes. It's not just next season, but the next several years. We really have to get it right, not only with who we bring in, but who we get rid of, because not only could getting rid of some players that are maybe just not good for us, maybe players that we've needed to get rid of for a while, maybe players that could bring in some money. It's important to really be tactical about this, but also not to be too slow. There's a fine line there, and it's hard to know when to move, when not to move, this and that. I don't envy anybody, but at the same time, I want to get this stuff done. But we're here to discuss all the rumors, all the done deals, all the the news as it happens, and not just the incomings, but the outgoings as well. So we're doing all that. But speaking of outgoings, don't forget Tuesday, 4:30ish. I'll know for sure a little closer. We are doing a keep sell video for the current squad as we head into the new year. So come back for that one. Don't forget to get your thoughts and opinions on that. Hopefully I'll be joined by some guests. That'll be a fun little video. But yeah, we're going through everybody. So I can't wait to hear everybody's thoughts and opinions on each of these squad members. So be sure to come back for that. So, and then also season 2 of What If dropped late last week too. So go check out season 2, get caught up, watch season 1 as well. There's a whole separate playlist for that. So like the video, please subscribe to the channel if you are new before we get started. It's free, takes 1 second. Boom, you see it right in the bottom left-hand or bottom right-hand corner for you guys. There's a little subscribe button. Hit that. Check out the memberships to learn how you can get involved. Go check out GoGoalShop. I'm rocking another shirt from GoGoalShop. You guys have seen me wear this one before, the 86. This thing is a thing of beauty. I've wanted this one for a while. I love this shirt. And yes, go check out the UVE store as well. The link is in the description for United vs. Everybody store. New designs dropping on there all the time. I just did another one yesterday that kind of looks like a G.I. Joe symbol a little bit. Go check that one out. Let me get involved in the chat. I want to see who's popping off in the chat here real quick. Casper, big up Casper. Hope you're doing well. Yes, I'm excited about Cunha too. We are going to be talking about Cunha, of course. We can't not talk about Cunha, right? I mean, that's why we're here. That's what the thumbnail says. Yes, Danny B, big up, man. Hope you're having a good weekend. Yeah, everyone, let me know what you guys got up to this weekend. Anybody watch the Champions League final? We're going to be chatting about that as well. But big up, Danny. Hope you're doing well. Let's see who else is popping in. Danny says, hopefully Mbuemo next. That would be nice. We're going to be chatting about Mbuemo too. I thought Mbuemo was kind of just a pipe dream for a second there, but we're getting more and more rumors that it is not maybe the case. I'm always a little curious sometimes when it comes to some of these rumors. We know that sometimes we're linked just to get clicks. We know that sometimes we're linked because agents trying to get their players new contracts, i.e. Sergio Ramos. I think sometimes we're only linked by the media though, just to make us look bad if we don't end up signing a player. I would be willing to bet a lot of money that the vast majority of the players that we are linked with, there's no interest. We're just there just so the media can. It's a combination of getting the clicks for our name, but also just to try to make us look bad and say, oh, this target snubs Man United. Like we were never actually in for this person. I'm not saying that's the case with Mbuemo, but sometimes that's where my mind goes because I'm a little paranoid. What do you want to do? But Rajat didn't want Cunha. Well, big up, Rajat. Good to see you, man. I'm curious, though. Give me a reason. What's going on there? Casper says, Garnacho, Napoli. Yeah, that is the rumor. Remember, they wanted him in January, so maybe they'll come back for him. Oddly enough, I did just start an FC 25 career mode, and Napoli ended up making an offer for Garnacho, and I accepted. Anthony went to Atalanta. Rashford went to Inter, Sancho went to Chelsea, Casemiro, oddly enough, went to Galatasaray, so making a lot of sales in my FC25 career mode. But let's see what we got here. Do. All right, I am caught up. Let you guys chat. So obviously, first things first. I mean, we're here to kind of discuss and celebrate if you want, or maybe if you're Raja, not celebrate. The announcement of Matthias Cunha. Obviously, both clubs, Wolves and United, have announced it today. Some of this stuff is a bit of a moot point. I mean, he was pictured outside the Lowry last night, or yesterday, I guess. And if you guys aren't familiar with Manchester and the surrounding area, so the Old Trafford kind of sits in this Salford Quays area. There's the canal. The opposite side of the canal is Salford Quays and Media City. The Lowry is located inside Media City, which is like a little shopping kind of condo area over there. But that's where the players will stay before the matches. But that's where it stays. So he was in Manchester. Obviously, medical was held. And how about that? A transfer done on day one of the transfer window. When's the last time that happened at this club? Usually we're linked to a guy, we're interested in a guy, and then it takes till the end of the transfer window, where we're already 2 or 3 matches into the season for us to get it done. So, and a big signing at that too. Might arguably potentially one of our biggest signings of the window is done right away. So not that it's difficult to improve on Woodward, Glazers, Murtaugh, Arnold. Not that it's hard to improve upon them, but how many times did we move this quickly in the window? I mean, not many in my memory. I'm not singing any else's praises just yet or anything. I'm not saying that they're amazing, that the 21 is coming, but you do give credit where it's due. But I'm also not the kind of guy who's just going to let people rest on that. I'm going to say, hey, good job. Now let's go. Let's keep it going. Where's the next one? I want to see more and more. I want Amorim to have his players in for preseason. I want him to get started on the system with the players that he needs for the system, because I want him to just get it going. I don't want to have any more excuses. I want to just, let's see what the system does when you've got the parts that you need for it. All right. I can't build a house with a box of crayons. Now you've got your tools, build me a house. Let's see what happens. What do you guys think about Cunha? Rajat says play Maguire left. See, now I think you're just taking the piss, but big up Rajat. Rajat says kind of don't like Inter and give both oil clubs UCL title. Yeah, it was a messed up transfer. Our Champions League final, man. Casper is talking about Emiliano Martinez. Yeah, we saw those links recently. I saw some random link from Caught Offside today linking us to Donnarumma. Like, that's going to happen. Definitely not going to happen. Danny says Dan James was the last time, I think. Well, Dan James, Matthias Cunha, you guys let me know which one was the better deal. That's funny, though. One point that Danny says, I really wouldn't mind a couple of players the average fan hasn't heard of, along with Cunha and Bueno. Well, Danny, that would require some actual scouting, but we don't do that here. Granted, I would say like Aiden Heaven, Patrick Dorgu. I would doubt a whole lot of people were familiar with Dorgu before we were linked with him. So there is a bit there. I think that's where you're going to see I think what you're going to see from like someone like Wilcox is more the Aiden Heavens kind of thing. What you're going to see from Vivell, though, is some of the Sekou Kone kind of stuff. So I think that's a good balance there, personally. But I absolutely agree. Roger says, have opinion about the PSG Ultra fans. Yeah, I don't know much about PSG. I don't watch a ton of French football just because I don't get the channel that it's on. Plus, it's a farmers league. I mean, it's hard for me to take seriously leagues, just our 1 or 2 league, 2-team leagues. It's boring. But it is what it is. But here's a question, though, regarding Cunha. Does signing Cunha, do you guys think that signing Cunha kind of means we're actually not as thin depth-wise as at the number 9 than we thought? So going into this summer, we had, Højlund, Cheeto, and then maybe Xerxes, right? Xerxes is a kind of a 9.5. Go get your 9.5 shirts in the UVE store, by the way. But does this mean that we're not as thin because Cunha can fill in the 9 as in a pinch? Xerxes can fill in the 9 as a pinch. We've seen Bruno play in the 9 as a pinch if he's still here. So does this mean that maybe losing Højlund doesn't leave us as light? Maybe we don't need to get 2 strikers. Maybe Cheeto, Xerxes, Gyokeres, and Cunha potentially filling in if needed. Is that good? Are you guys good with that? Do we have enough depth? If Cunha has to move to the 9, is there enough depth there for someone to come in and take over in that 10? You guys let me know your thoughts. It's just a thought I had while I was doing this. Potentially, that's fine because Cunha has played striker in the past. So, Box, big up, Box. Good to see you. Yeah, I was just curious. I was thinking about that earlier. It's good to have versatility. That we know we've read a lot of reports that that's something that we're looking at. Players who can play multiple roles. Bruno can play 10 deep role. Cunha 9, 10. Dorgu left, right. Who else? Mazraoui, center back, right back. Ahmad, 10, right wing back. Like, you're seeing a lot of interchangeability, and that's good. I like that. It wouldn't be bad to have some specialists, but I do like that. So, Box says if we sell Bruno and don't get Gyokeres, if we sell Bruno and we don't get a big name, like, I'm gonna be mad about it because we just need the goals. Agile says we just need to buy as much goals in the team as possible. Yeah, it's almost becoming a Moneyball thing, right? Casper says, remember Bruno Cunha does in Bruno's position. Yeah, they play it a little differently, right? Cunha is definitely going to be a runner, good on the ball. He's going to drop deep a lot. He's going to move that ball with his feet up and down the pitch. He's going to get highly involved. He and Dorgu, I want he and Dorgu to be roommates whenever they're at the Lowry, whenever they're hanging out at Carrington. I want them to eat lunch together. I want Cunha and Dorgu to just be inseparable on the training pitch, everything. Preseason, they need to develop a relationship, an interchangeability. They need to get in sync quickly because that's going to be key. You guys remember what we used to see from Rashford and Shaw, how when Shaw was injured, Rashford kind of suffered. You do develop those partnerships, whether it's center backs or like wingers and fullbacks. You saw Rashford and Martial, how they used to be just in sync with each other. Dorgu, Cunha, get down with each other, meet up, hang out, get to know each other, become besties. I don't care what you want to do. Go do karaoke. I don't care. Develop that partnership, get in sync with each other, talk to each other, ask questions of each other. And that's how you do it. That's how you make us better on that. Because it's not enough just to buy a left back and then buy a left side of 10 and say, go. They need to put in the hard yards to make that left side even better. Just like Højlund really needed to put in the hard yards to get extra coaching help, to seek outside help. That, to me, is going to make the difference. What extra shit are you doing to make things even better than they could be? Because cool, you play in the left 10. Cool, you play left back. Are you happy with that just being enough? Or are you going to work a little harder? Because that's going to make the difference. You're going to notice stuff like that. Danny says, just taking my point before I wrote it. Concentrate on Mbeumo, then see what happens with Gyokeres, Oshman, and then go from there after sales. Yeah. Mount and Cunha. Yeah, we got Mount, Cunha. Mainu can play up there. Xerxes can play there. Bruno can play up there if we need him to as well. Maybe there'll be some academy players coming through. Maybe someone like Lacey, Biancheri, things like that. So Danny says, yeah, really rattled. Saw you. I don't know what you're talking about. Box says, we're looking very mid-table-ish year on year. I mean, yeah, when you watch us play, we definitely do not play like a top side. And we don't deserve to be top because of that. And we're mid-table because that's just where our performances are right now. It's where our quality is right now. Danny wants 8 Nori and Mbeumo. I saw some people talking about Theo Hernandez, who's got like 30 million. The price is like 30 million, but apparently he wants like, I think it was like 7-8 million in wages a year. I don't know what that equals to off the top of my head. I really don't. But would you guys take Theo? Remember, he and DeMarco were on my like pipe dream Shaw replacement video for that left back spot. DeMarco's kind of shot himself in the foot, but Theo Hernandez, I haven't looked at his injuries in a little while. Has he been fit? Danny says, let Dorgu develop slowly. Yeah, Dorgu with a preseason with Dorgu could be a huge difference because you've got guys like Gyokeres. You've got Aït-Nouri wasn't even old when he was really getting more minutes at Wolves. So he's young, Dorgu, but again, I think that he can do it with a preseason, but it's really he's got to learn that system, and he's really got to work on that final ball too. Casper says, I do think Bruno will go. Cunha can play in Bruno position. Where we need a chance creator, though. We need somebody who does what Bruno does in that position, because we don't have. I'm not saying you need to replicate what like Bruno in as a player, but we need someone to create the chances, someone to see those passes, someone who can play some of those passes, because we will miss that a little bit as well. Danny says, I want a wingback that actually plays wingback. Yeah, no, a specialist wingback would not be bad. We've been like Miguel Gutierrez is still high on my list as well at Girona. I mean, you guys know I like that guy. I'd still take Fran Garcia. I love Fran Garcia. I think he's got the physicality and the effort, like the effort levels that you need in this league. But we'll see. But yeah, let me know. Do you feel like we're light in that striker spot if Cunha and we still sell Højlund, or does Cunha kind of come in and double if we do sign a striker? So keep those thoughts coming in, you guys. Get involved in the poll too, because we're going to talk about Bruno here in a little while. Rob, big up, man. 120 million British pounds. None of this euros nonsense. Yeah, I didn't put currency on there. I was too lazy to go through the trouble of copy pasting currency, because I don't know how to just do it like normal. But you guys get it. We'll just call it pounds. How's that sound? Just say pounds. Agile B says, shame we were out of the Turkey deal. Yeah, there were all those reports that he was a little apprehensive about his minutes, because City just keep buying players. I don't know where they get it from, but I just don't get it personally. The problem with City, I don't get why flair players go to City. Pep's just gonna use you the way he wants to use you. Bernardo Silva used to be a winger at Monaco, right? And then he's been like an 8, even a 6 at times at City. Look at Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish can't get a minute, literally can't get a minute after they spent 100 million on him. What a flop he's been. Like Turkey, I don't know if we're going to see the best from Turkey in a very strict kind of methodical, systemic, like that very just rigid Pep system. I think that you see players kind of die in that one. So we will see how he goes. But yes, it is a shame. You guys know I do like Turkey. Danny says 100% Pep will destroy him. Yeah, I just worry that Turkey needs to go someplace where he can have a little room to breathe, room to experiment, room to take risks and things. And then, and that's sometimes with some of these flair players, that's how they will learn, because Turkey's still young. So I think he's like 21 still. So he needs to learn. He needs to be able to make mistakes without like the whole his manager, like just, you can't coach some of that stuff out of players by just limiting them, if that makes sense. So I don't know. It is, maybe I'm different. Fox says Turkey, 8 Nori Reinders, 3 great pickups for City. That's literally 7 players since January, because they bought 4 players in January and they're buying 3 more. Like they're literally just holding up a middle finger to like the court of arbitration for sport. Like, come at me. Let's go. Thug life. I don't get it, man. Casper says, also heard something about Douglas Luiz. We've talked about Douglas Luiz a couple times. We were linked a little bit in January. I really like Douglas Luiz, Casper. He's just been injured a lot this year since he went to Juventus. He's just been injured. And you guys know how I feel about injury-prone players. And so it's a big red flag for me, considering our history with injury-prone players, considering the ineptitude of our medical staff, our physios. Yeah, it's a big no for me. I do like him. It's a shame. I would have loved to have taken him straight from Aston Villa. I think he ticks a lot of boxes for us, the kind of player we're looking for in our midfield. He's injured a lot, so it is what it is. Dana says City have Yashari as their secondary target if they don't get Reinders. Dortmund also heavily linked. Yeah, I did see the links with Dortmund. There are a few midfielders rolling around. I mean, we've talked about them many times. I've mentioned a couple like Seawald at Leipzig, Kamara, Hackney, Yashari, Stiller. I don't know what's going on with Stiller, but I mean, he'd probably be pretty expensive now. But there are quite a few midfielders out there that I even posted yesterday, like Zaire Emery's not getting any minutes at PSG. He's 19. He's an excellent midfielder. They just he wasn't really a Luis Enrique signing or whatever. I think that Zaire Emery, a cheeky bid for Zaire Emery, I would take that any day of the week. I think he ticks a lot of boxes for us. But I think the writing was on the wall when they bought João Neves, personally. I mean, when you got a midfield of João Neves, Vitinha, and then whoever else you want to put next to him, I mean, that's going to beat pretty much everybody, clearly, because it did. Box says, no chance Zaire Emery leaves PSG. They're probably not. I would just say put in a cheeky bid, see what you can do. PSG are spending a lot of money. They might be getting Mastantuono. Who else did they just buy? I forget now off the top of my head. Somebody remind me who they just bought. It's literally up on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember now because they bought somebody else besides Mastantuono. But they might need the money. They didn't get any money for Mbappe. You remember he left for free, and so that hurts. They're trying to buy more and more players. So Box says Asensio, Kolomouani, Kanjin. Yeah, we talked about Kanjin yesterday. I did the scouting report on him yesterday because he is a player that I really, really like, and he could be leaving as well because he was signed like literally days before Luis Enrique even got there. Casper says Pedro Gonçalves is another injury-prone player, but I heard we might be in form. Well, keep your head on. We're going to be getting there. So, but yeah, someone remind me who else PSG signed this summer. I feel like they've already they signed Kvaratskhelia. Maybe that's who I'm thinking of in January. They spent almost $70 million on him. Mastantuono, so that's going to be like $100+ million if they get Mastantuono and Kvaratskhelia since January. Interesting. But yes, Champions League final while we're talking about PSG, because if you want to call it, I was with Justin at a pub downtown from here, and I literally a couple times during that match, I was like, I feel like Inter Milan are the only people on the entire planet right now, the only 11 people on the planet who aren't aware that this is a Champions League final the way they played. That was one of the worst Champions League finals that I can remember. And it was clear like 5-7 minutes in that it was only going to end one way. There was just Inter was so bad. DeMarco had an absolute mare. Inter could not complete simple 5-yard passes. Lautaro and Marcus Thuram might as well have been on the moon with how little they got the ball. Like it was just impossible for Inter. I don't know what Inter were trying to do building out from the back. You don't build out from the back slowly and then hoof it long. It's got to be one or the other. And they just couldn't figure out what was going on. They were getting pressed left and right, making sloppy passes that were going straight to PSG left. It was just embarrassing to watch. Like there was so many, and the funny thing is at the pub, it was just all Inter fans. I didn't see a single PSG fan. There were tons of Inter fans there, and it was just bad, man. It's just bad. Did you guys watch it? Surely that's got to be Ousmane Dembele for Ballon d'Or, right? Didn't he get an assist yesterday? So that's a treble for him. 33 goals, 11 assists in all competitions. I mean, that's got to be the Ballon d'Or for Ousmane Dembele. What are you guys saying here? Rob says PSG handed out an arse whooping. Spurs up next in the Super Cup. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot they play in the Super Cup. Oh man, that's going to be embarrassing. Box says PSG under Enrique, best team I've seen in a long time. Yeah, well they've gotten rid of the bigger names and they've started actually building. They're getting a lot of these young players, and they're just. I mean, Desiree Doué. I mean, that's like Barcola was having an amazing time. Doué came in and just set Barcola on the bench. Like that's embarrassing. Doué's got to be one of the best players I've seen in a while at that age. Box says, in modern football, it's rare to see enjoyable football, and PSG provided this season. Yeah, their players are just too good. Vitinha is excellent. I mean, João Neves, like obviously we've like waxed lyrical about him since the summer when we were linked with him as well. Like they just have too many good players. Casper's glad PSG won Champions League 5-0. It was freaking insane. Box says Vitinha is Ballon d'Or worthy as well. Vitinha is. So I remember Vitinha was a 10. He used to be a 10 at Porto, and then wasn't the Wolves for a minute too. Yeah, he was a 10 at Porto, and now he's like the deepest player in that midfield, and he's just this like he's got like this Modric kind of rule now. He's just kind of running around, getting on the ball, making things happen. Like that's kind of like something we would need. Roger says Nacho's better than Doué. Inzaghi, yeah, Simone Inzaghi, he was losing his shit yesterday, man. Box says Dembele, Rafinha, Yamal, Vitinha, Pedri, Neves should be front runners. It's got to be Dembele, right? I mean, I will admit, part of it is just petty tribalism because I want I want Dembele to win Ballon d'Or just to boil Scouse piss. I want them to all start crying in their car because Salah didn't get it. Salah got a league. That's it. Dembele's got a treble, and he's got like 45 goal involvements in all comps. Like he's got to. Days at PSG bought 3 or 4 players. I was crying out for us to buy the last 1 or 2. Yeah, João Neves is the one that hurts. I did like Kanjin Lee when we were linked, but that was when we were playing under Ten Hag. So I'm not sure where he would have played in a Ten Hag system. He would have had to play like on the right or the left, cutting in basically. Raja says, we'll take João Neves or Vitinha, Pacho maybe, Marquinhos, Nunez. I mean, just take them all, right? Nuno Mendes, I was a little worried about because he had a ton of injuries, and I wasn't too keen, but you never know. So, but yeah, it was just a boring Champions League final. Like, I just didn't, like, enjoy it. But what in the Tom Cruise? Did you guys see this nonsense yesterday? What is Ethan Hunt doing at commentating? I mean, it's one thing to be at the Champions League final, but what is he doing commentating with David Beckham? Like, what is this? What in the Tom Cruise? I don't understand what is happening here. Like, I thought maybe it's like a Paramount thing because his whole Mission Impossible or Top Gun, don't they have a partnership with Paramount or something? Because does he really know David Beckham? Like, saw this and I was like, what is happening? What is football? Like, it's one thing you got Salt Bae jumping on the pitch and carrying the World Cup around last winter, but now you've got Tom Cruise literally commentating. It's not like he's just hanging out. He's got a microphone. He's hanging out with Bex, and he's just like, yep. I mean, whatever. Just sign him. Just sign him. At least we'll know he'll run. I mean, he'll definitely run if you sign him at the club, but that was the most crazy thing I've seen in my life, man. Oh, boy. Yeah, that was messed up, but what are you going to do? So, oh, what are you guys saying up here? Raja says, Mo Salah got, like, to be honest, 0 PR. Yeah, Mo Salah Mo Salah is probably one of the best players right now, but still, you got to win the trophies, too. If they're going to take the World Cup and stuff into consideration, then you have to take the fact that Ousmane Dembele won a treble, 44 goal involvements, and he's literally been playing out of position pretty much the entire season. So, to me, it's just, you have to give it to him. Beckham and Robbie Savage. Rogers is letting Elise go to Bayern in Germany, man. I mean, I know people get mad sometimes, or we're like, how could we let that happen? But you got to remember, the players do have a say-so in this, too. Like, if you're sitting there with a Bayern Munich offer and a Manchester United offer, again, going back to the summer where after what happened, the player does have a say. The player can say, nope, yes. It's like the buyback clause. There are a lot of people who freaking out, like, why didn't we do the buyback clause? The player does get a say in this. It's not like you just, like, hand it off and, like, you don't get a say-so in what happens to your future and your career. Like, the players are allowed to say, I don't want to go to Manchester United. Like, I don't like it, but it's what happens. So it is what it is. Kai, pick up Kai. How are you doing, man? Rob says, is Tom trying to make more Mission Impossibles than there were police academies? How many police academies were there? I lose track of the Mission Impossibles, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's like Mission Impossible and Fast and the Furious movies are up there with, like, or Saw. Aren't there like a ton of Saw movies too? But this one isn't there another one out? It's like the final Tomming or something, the final cruise. I don't know what it is. It's the final something, right? So obviously that usually means it's the last one, right? I mean, it's not going to be like Hugh Jackman and they're going to make him make those till he's fucking 90, right? Agile says, can Tom Cruise see the pitch with all that Botox? Does he have Botox? I don't keep up with stuff like that. Personally, I don't. Yeah, I'm not really big on TV and stuff. I'll watch football and I'll have like 4 or 5 shows that I'll watch like over and over again. Like you guys know my favorite shows. So Raja says Ballon d'Or award declining. I never put much stock in the Ballon d'Or, to be honest with you. It's pretty much a popularity contest. Again, I only like it when the players who deserve to win it, like Luka Modric or something. I did think Carvajal got robbed last year. And I want Ousmane Dembele to win it. I've already literally said it. I'm fully upfront with it. I want it just to boil Scouse piss. I just want to, because Jamie Carragher is going to start flipping out. I will put money right now. Ballon d'Or ceremony. If Ousmane Dembele wins, Mo Salah does not. I'm calling it now. Jamie Carragher will not be on the overlap the following episode. He will not be there. The guy never shows up when Liverpool lose. He's such a coward. I'm putting money. You guys can hold me to it. Clip that up, man. Let me see. Weird. Roger says, damn, bro, am I linked with David Beckham? Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Casper wants Emi Martinez. Is he free? I hear conflicting reports. Free for a couple of years might allow us to strengthen in other areas and then revisit goalkeeper position in a couple of years. Maybe. Raja says, don't want no racist out on team like Enzo Fernandez. Yeah, they did get caught singing that song after the World Cup, didn't they? Box says, it was always funny to joke with Arsenal fans over the Ballon d'Or and say Michael Owen won Thierry Henry. Raja says, Dembele off ball doing work. Dembele was a little anonymous, I thought, yesterday, but I think really just because Doué and Kvaratskhelia were just running things. Like, Kvaratskhelia was just having an absolute... It literally was like a training match. It was so boring. Rob says, give it to Trent just to be... No, man, I would love it if it would just go my whole life without seeing a single Liverpool player win one of those. Pick up, yeah. Kvaradona is an absolute monster, but... All right, let's dump in some other news because I do want to get your guys' opinion on a couple things. So I wanted you guys to take a look at a short video clip. So make sure that your sound is turned up, please, because I want you guys to listen. This is like a minute and a half or so, but I really want you guys to listen to this, to watch this, and see what you say. I retweeted this yesterday when it went out. I sent it to Dylan, sent it to Justin, because the guy's spitting facts, but I want you guys to listen to it and let me know. So make sure you got your sound on and listen to it.
It was always, for me, sink or swim situation for these players at this club. It was sink or swim. Yeah. Because we, as a football club, decided this is the man that we're going to bring in. Mm-hmm. We knew what style of football he played. Yeah. We knew his philosophy. Yeah. We asked him to leave his club mid-season while they were first in the table, while they were in the Champions League, first in the table by a distance. Yeah, we told him, scrap that, forget about that, your league title, forget about making a charge in the Champions League, come to Manchester United. Yeah. He said no. Can I come in the summer? We said no. It's now or never. And so we paid the compensation to get him in. We fought hard to get him into this club. So that tells me that we decided that this is how Manchester United are going to move forward. We said this guy we're going to play his football, and his football is how we're going to move forward from now and for however long at this point. Yeah. Why is 7 months with the same group of players who we already knew weren't good enough, who showed you last season weren't good enough, and the last manager showed you another? Why are we using these players as the metric to judge this manager and then decide the fate of this manager? Who already failed the previous manager. Yeah. To me, it's just not logical, bro. It's illogical. Like, for me, it was always, how many of these players can fit into the system? If you are not good enough to fit into the system, goodbye.
All right, did you guys get that? So I saw that yesterday, and it's hard to disagree with a whole lot of, in my opinion, it's hard to disagree with a whole lot of this guy's points, right? Like, he's making a lot of really good points there. I'm just going to get this off of here. So prep my next slide here for you guys. What were you guys' thoughts on that? Do you agree with him that, this was kind of all about the players kind of stepping up and maybe not as much Amorim needing to prove anything, that the players are the ones on trial, the players are the ones kind of auditioning, they needed to show that they could play a part in the way the club is trying to play moving forward, the kind of culture, the kind of system, the kind of style of play. I mean, they brought in Amorim for a reason. That's the players have to get on that. The players who can't fit, can and will be pushed off. Like we saw that was Rashford, Garnacho, Antony. I mean, there's evidence to support that, right? I mean, they had the players, like you said, they had 7 months to do it. This isn't 7 months necessarily for Amorim to prove that he could do it. It's not like Amorim was coming in and auditioning for the job. They went to him and gave him an ultimatum. And so it's not like he can also do it with the same players that have failed and that we've been slagging off, right? Are there parts that you disagree with that this guy said? I don't know. Let me know. Let me see what you guys are saying here in a second. Bach says he makes some good points. Yeah, I thought he was very, very well spoken. Thought he made some excellent points there. Composed View, well said. Welcome back, Composed View. Good to see you again. Brendan Chappell back in the house. And if we don't give Amorim the players he wants, Ineos makes choices that make zero sense. Well, I do think we're going to be getting away from the whole buying players for a manager thing. We decided a way that we wanted to play. We thought Amorim apparently it kind of exemplified that way, and now it's kind of I hope it's kind of like what Liverpool did with Klopp. Liverpool decided this is how we're going to play. Klopp is a part of that. It's not Klopp comes in. Who do you want, Klopp? I'm like, no, this is the way we want to play. Klopp suits that. I hope that's the way we're going. That way you don't have the situation that we've had for the last 12 years where we've got players for specific managers and it just doesn't fit. We've got so many of these players. We've got LVG players still in the squad. And Luke Shaw, for instance, we've got Mourinho players. We've got Ollie players. And I'm not saying all of them are crap, but it's just we're stuck with these players that these managers have and these players that we keep slagging off because they don't seem to fit because they were bought for different systems, different tactics. Some players that we still have were for Louis van Gaal, like possession, very high percentage passing. A lot of those players are gone now. Jose Mourinho and Ollie, counterattacking system. Like it doesn't work with every system. And so there are people who will say, well, good players can play any system. Well, that's not necessarily true. It's just not. You can't take super slow wingers and play a counterattacking football. This is why you can't take players like Rashford and Dan James and put him in like a Ten Hag or an Amorim or even a Pep system because they don't play to their strength. This is why Anthony Elanga is doing great at Forest because they play these quick transition counterattacks, and he didn't really look great in a slower system. There's a reason for that. Rob says, I thought the same thing. Jim said the same, especially about overpaid players. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Rob says, Amorim is here to clean up and reset. Yeah, I think Amorim was always going to have a bit of a free hit. Now, I disagree in the sense that it took him he needed time to assess the players. I don't think anybody needed time. I really don't think if you've got a team, and if it's not just on Amorim, if it's on a team, then Amorim will have shown up and he will have already had Darren Fletcher. He would have already had, Ashworth when he was still here. Barada. All these guys were here before Amorim got here. They've been here since last spring. They knew all the players that weren't cutting it. They knew the personalities that weren't cutting it. All Amorim had to do was ask, and they would have said, nah, that guy's not him. And that's all we need to do. We wouldn't have to sit here and test it out. But that's why it didn't take long. And this is what happens when you go to an organization where the culture has been and the standards have been and the toxicity has just been allowed to run rampant. That when you get someone like an Amorim, and I've seen like my wife, this happened to my wife. She went to a job and she went in and the culture among the staff was just so toxic and lazy and entitled. And she is the exact opposite of that. But then she comes in and she just being who she is, the standards got raised. And there are people who are going to recognize that and they're going to fix up, or there are people who are going to leave, or there are people who are going to take the worst route and try to single her out. The same with Amorim. There are players who are literally calling him out, disrespecting him. The standards got raised. Some players can hang, some players can't. Those players get. And he did this at Sporting too. Ricardo Diaz, if you're around, he'll jump in. Teresa, big up, says, I agree with him. Awesome. What other points that anybody disagrees with? That was a TikTok thing. I saw it popped up on Twitter. So let me know what you guys agree with, what you guys don't. I guess, Rob, please hit that like button if you haven't yet done so. I do appreciate that. Brennan says, and you shouldn't get a manager that plays a specific way. I think what it was, Brennan, is that Amorim plays the way that Ineos and Barada and Wilcox and everybody, he plays the way that they kind of want United to play, if that makes sense. It's no longer Manchester United, we bring in Jose Mourinho and we play Jose Mourinho's way. We play Louis van Gaal's way. This is the way Manchester United want to play. This is the manager we think who's going to be able to take us there and do that. These are the kind of personalities we want. And we think that Amorim also suits this ethos, this identity, this culture that we're trying to do moving forward. Very similar to what Liverpool did with Klopp. So I think that it's a little bit of both, but we went to get Amorim because of the way he plays. And I think that means that that's what we're trying to move towards, like this guy's saying. Casper says the window could be very busy. Yeah, it is going to close for like a week. I don't think it's going to mean anything. There are some interesting things though about the window that we're going to talk about here. Rob said top players should be able to adapt. If they can't, then move them on. I get to a degree, but again, that's like saying, someone like a Virgil van Dijk playing out from the back kind of a thing. Like it doesn't work all that well. Again, you can't force a player to be a different player altogether based on the system. It doesn't really work that well. Like I don't know, like there's a reason we get flair players that just aren't cutting it. Like I don't think Cristiano Ronaldo could cut it in a Pep Guardiola system, for instance. I just don't. And that's not like one's bad or the other, but there is a reason that managers don't all just play the same style of football, because it's not just that they have a system. It's because managers are individuals and they see football in their own way. They see it uniquely and differently than other managers. This is why we have different systems. This is why we have different formations, why we have gegenpress, why we have low blocks, why we have tiki-taka. Managers see football differently. And that's really, I think, the way that we should try to look at it, because people see football differently. There's a reason some fans think that center backs need to be fast. Some fans think that center backs need to be tall, because these people see football differently. They put different hierarchy on all these different qualities or these traits or these characteristics or these styles of play and these personalities. And that's fine. You can do that, but it's about aligning with what the club wants to do. If that makes sense. Again, this isn't me saying anyone's right and wrong. I'm just like, it's the way people see football. And unfortunately in some ways, the way that managers see football does have a bigger impact on football in general, because the managers are the ones who decide the way the team plays. Roger says, why do they talk about giving this manager these players? Don't buy into that much. Yeah, we're going to see what happens for sure. Teresa says, I'm confused. United said they don't want to repeat the sins of the past. Cunha seems a repeat of the past. Must I say, well, how does Cunha feel like a repeat of the past? I would argue, when was the last time we signed like a Premier League player in the peak of his career, who is arguably one of the better players in the league? I can't think of the last time that we did that, honestly. I'm struggling off the top of my head to think when the last time that happened. And so I think the sins of the past, I think it's just spending money unnecessarily, giving big wages, things like that. I think are the mistakes that we're trying to avoid, because all that is why we are where we are money wise and stuff. Brennan says, then we're getting the players that suit Amorim's style of play. Yes and no. I think that you have to look at it as we're getting the players that suit the way that United wants to play, and that's the way Amorim happens to play, if that makes sense, personally. But that's just me. That's just how I'm interpreting it. Raja says, no, they were not getting them from one manager. They're getting them to hopefully help the club. Brendan says, connect the dots. Yeah, I mean, there's connecting the dots, and then there's putting causation where there's just correlation, if that makes sense. Correlation is not necessarily causation. So it's easy to look at the dots and to make the connection, but sometimes they just don't connect. And sometimes if they do happen to connect, it's kind of like a byproduct, a coincidence, a happenstance kind of a thing. But I think, again, that's like saying Jurgen Klopp plays, high pace, like fast pace, over the top, long ball football. He does. And then you're like, oh, Mo Salah is excellent at that. Like they bought him for the manager. Jurgen Klopp did not want Mo Salah. Jurgen Klopp wanted Julian Brandt. That's my point. Liverpool they wanted to play this, and Klopp suited that, and they looked at the data and said, Mo Salah fits this better than Julian Brandt does. And I think you could agree. Imagine Julian Brandt in that like heavy metal gegenpress football. I don't think it would have worked out as well. So that's like what I'm trying to get at here. Oh, Danny says Berbatov. Yep, it's a good shout. Van Persie, maybe. He was 28, 29 when we signed him. Maybe Van Persie, right? Casper really likes Mbuemo. Mata. Yeah, Mata. He was a reigning Chelsea player of the season, right? Yeah, I could see that. That's another good shout. Teresa says, Sean, the fee is high. It is, but we are breaking it down. So again, this is how PSR works. So you could look at a $62.5 million release clause, which to me is all things like context being considered is really not that high. It would be lower than I thought it would be, considering that how well Cunha is. It's Man United. He's in the Premier League. He's just turned 26. Like, to me, those all in the past would mean a higher fee. Like, I think he's better than Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish costs nearly 50 million more, in my opinion. So, but that's just my opinion. But again, you get to break down that fee because we're paying in installments, and so we don't. It's not like 62.5 million comes out of this budget. The first installment does. The rest of it will pay off in another year or two. So he was declining, but he was still the best striker in the league that season. Wasn't he Golden Boot winner that year too? So we might have gotten him like at that last, like just when he was just literally about to like hit that decline. I think, boom, we got him at the perfect time. So master stroke by Fergie, in my opinion. Fellaini, big up box. That's funny. Yeah, you guys are throwing all sorts of shouts out. Berbatov, Carrick. Carrick, I would argue we got Carrick kind of before. Like, we identified Carrick a little before. But yeah, that's a good shout. Matic, yep. Matic is decent. Hey, in heaven, you guys are funny. Oh, bro. Oh, no, you guys are going in on Alexis Sanchez. Teresa, Amorim needs versatile players. I think that what Amorim needs, and what this club have needed for years and years, is just more physical players, like players who are just fitter, more physical, and then just mentality monsters, players who take the initiative, who don't shy away, who have a bit of resilience, who have a bit of bottle on them, just a bit of bottle. I mean, we haven't had that. We've had some very technical players in the past, but their mentality has just been in the floor. Their professionalism has been on the floor. Pogba, Sancho, Alexis Sanchez, Di Maria, like all these guys were technically among the best you'll ever see, but their attitudes were just shit, man. They're just so, like, even Garnacho's kind of going down that route a little bit. It's just annoying, dude. Casper's Lindelof came from Scunthorpe. No, was it Blackpool? Yeah. That's funny. Rob says Bremer. Yeah, I remember Glesson Bremer. DeLit, I like DeLit. His injuries are starting to get on my nerves a little bit. But I like DeLit as a player. I just need him to. If you guys remember, that was one of my worries when we were linked with him in the summer, was his injuries. So, what are you guys saying here on Bruno? Get those votes in before we go onto this Bruno stuff. I just want to make sure I get caught up on a lot of this here. You guys are having a little chit chat out here. Big up. All right, so let's move on. Let's shift gears a little bit. So, talk about Bruno. So, Fabrizio Romano chimed in. He says that Bruno Fernandes' agent is back in Europe, ready to have contacts with United. Al Hilal do see Bruno as the perfect player for their project. I don't know what project they're talking about. If by project, they just mean let's schlep out a world-class star for everybody to come and say hi to, like, then cool, that's your project. It's basically a circus. But Romano adds, and we saw these reports the other day, that Al Hilal are ready to do anything to get him. Ben Jacobs chimed in as well. What did Ben Jacobs have to say? It was long, so I just thought I'd put it on the screen for you guys to see. He says, Al Hilal now believe an agreement with Bruno Fernandes is closer after a week of positive meetings. Fernandes is currently deliberating with his family. A key factor in whether Bruno agrees will be if the move is also right for his family. It will be more than just a football decision. I mean, no one goes to Saudi League for footballing reasons, let's be honest. But Ben Jacobs does say that Hilal want a final answer by Friday. So this was posted today. So little less than a week, apparently. So that 72 deadline was just not a thing. No formal approach or bid yet to United, but Hilal's belief is a sale will be sanctioned if Bruno does ask to leave. United still insists they don't want to sell their captain. So that's what Ben Jacobs has had to add today. So again, we already saw these reports that Al Hilal will apparently pay whatever United want. Again, that's why I put out the poll. What do you guys think is a good price to demand? Because we've seen some of the prices that these Saudi clubs are paying. Bruno is one of the better players they've signed, at all. And comparatively speaking, look at some of the players they've signed. He's probably among the best that they could get right now. What do you guys say here? So 4% of you say 85 million. So that sounds like that's too low for a lot of you. It is split right now between 100 million and 120 million. So you guys, somebody went the 150 million route. I mean, honestly, just ask him to pay something. Now it's always delicate, right? Do you ask too much and risk losing? If you ask for something, does that mean you're open to it, or is that just you ask for 150 million because you don't think that's something they're ever going to do? What if you said it's going to take 200 million and they're like, all right, here, let me write you the check. Like, how many zeros do you want on that? What do you do as a club if someone writes you a check for 200 million? That means that will be 400 million over 3 years that they're shelling out, because Bruno's wages and his bonuses would equal roughly 200 million, and then they're paying, like, that's insane to me. Like, that's his money that I never thought we would ever see for a player at United. Maybe that's enough just to do it. I don't know. What are you guys saying? Oh boy, Brennan, shots fired. Bruno can leave for free. Honestly, that's insane. I got to know where that's coming from. Brennan, obviously not a Bruno fan. Bach says Bruno stays. Bach says Ben Jacobs talked to you. Ben Jacobs has been crazy involved in the news this weekend. He was on a couple different YouTube channels. Obviously, he's a journal. He's personality. He's all over the place. But and how much would you guys do? I mean, with all the Bruno to Al Hilal talk, I mean, obviously we're going to be linked with replacements, and so we're going to talk about that in a second, because it's not long before we got that replacement link coming back out. Raja says Bruno staying, 1 added year isn't bad. I'm fine. Interesting. Brennan Chappell says, look at it from a different perspective. If Bruno stays and has a shit season, you know how fans will burn on Tuna. Well, honestly, there's a big portion of the fan base that has been anti-Bruno since Pogba was still here. Do you not remember the whole Bruno versus Pogba debate that our own fans were literally having? Like, I don't get that at all. Why would you pit your players against each other? It just doesn't make sense to me. They played different positions on the pitch. Like, I don't get that. But I don't think that fans turning on Bruno should be the deciding factor in a lot of things. I mean, fans are going to turn on players no matter what. We saw what happened with Xerxes, and he comes back and scores a winner against Arsenal, and all is forgotten. Football fans are fickle. We know that. That's just part of it. We're human beings. Human beings are fickle because we're emotional, and there's so much emotion tied into our football. That's just, it is best to sell. Now, now you're talking some sense there, Brandon. Like, leaving for free, I was like, whoa. What's going on, my guy? Well, who hurt you? Selling, that's a different thing. I can see. We talked about that the other day as well. Yes, Raja, big up. Like the video if you haven't yet, people. Danny says 100 is more than a good price. I would say like 100 with like some add-ons, would be fine for me. You don't want to run the risk because they have other targets. That money was earmarked for Salah initially. They have some other targets that they might be going for. They could easily turn around and offer that same thing to Osimhen, for instance. But you don't want to scare them away. You don't want to put them off with demanding too much too soon. So maybe 100 with like 10, 15 in add-ons wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I don't think you're going to get that money for any other like 30, 31-year-old in football ever. I don't think that's going to happen unless it's Cristiano Ronaldo going to Juventus. But that would probably be what I would just be happy with. But again, a lot of it is going to be up to Bruno because he's got a family. He is still kind of playing at a high level. The guy's never injured. He's always fit. He's producing numbers left and right. I mean, he's dominating the stats. I mean, it's a big ask for him to basically just give up his career to go get some money. I don't get that at all, but it's not me. So Casper says, would be interesting if Al Hilal had Bruno and Ronaldo, but would be sick, but 100 million. Yeah, I read a rumor that, so Ronaldo, apparently his contract ended, but he's going to sign another month contract just to go play in the Club World Cup with Al Nassr. Is that what I read? Bach says 100 million buys you Prime Anthony. I don't know. Prime is right now. Prime Anthony is this right? The Real Betis Anthony, is that Prime Anthony? Rather says 150 million. Yeah. Let's see here. Teresa, what's the competition coming up? The one that Ronaldo would join. I believe Bruno want the opportunity to play. Well, reportedly, that's a big part of why Al Hilal have put this deadline down, is they want him there for the Club World Cup. That's also why Real Madrid paid a little bit to get Trent Alexander-Arnold sooner, so they could have him there for the Club World Cup. That's what they want. Again, the Club World Cup, it's basically a traveling circus. It's all it is. You throw out your big attractions and get people to come and try to get it some sort of legitimacy. It's such a cash grab. It's literally like watching all 3 Hobbit movies. No offense if you like the Hobbit movies. Let's just be honest, though. Let's call a spade a spade. This is what it is. So Raja said, weight correction is 120. Brendan says, just look at the stats without talking about assist goals. Okay, what do you want to talk about? Chance creation? Big chance creation? Because we can look at those stats as well. Minutes played, the guy's literally almost never missed a minute. He played his like Ten Hag's first season. Didn't Bruno play like the most matches of any footballer in Europe? We can throw out that stat too while we're at it. I mean, what stat do you want to choose? You pick a stat that you think says that Bruno is crap, basically, and we'll go on that. Like, I don't know what other stats mean anything in football other than assists, goals, chance creation, big chance creation, minutes played. Like, I don't know what other stats we can do. What are you going to call like yellow cards and say, well, he gets a lot of yellow cards, so he's crap? Like, I don't get it. It's fine if you don't rate Bruno. It's fine. I don't understand it, but I don't have to agree with it. But that's fine. We don't have to agree on that. But it is what it is. Teresa says, I heard he would join a European league. Perhaps I need to pay more attention. Who would join a European league? Rob says, Ronaldo always be loved. Ronaldo's loved. We made Ronaldo at United, but he does have a little bit of a black mark on his United career, in my opinion, just for what happened. But it is what it is. Raja says, who's your ideal back 3? Center backs plus left wing back, right wing back. So like of all our players, of like just anybody. If I could sign anybody, that's a loaded question. Rob says, out of them all, I'm intrigued to see how much Rashford goes for and whether we can lower the price because of his wages. Honestly, just get him gone. He's sucking our wage bill. I don't care. You're gonna spend what, 15 million a year in wages on Rashford on his salary alone. Like, having here for another year just drops his value, and then we have to pay another 15. Just get him gone. If Rashford thinks that he can sit here and work a new contract, work 300K a week, and then just stop trying, and then still think that he's going to put us in a difficult position by giving an interview and then trying to hold out for getting his wages matched. And he's got another thing coming, man. Like, he just literally does. Honestly, if we were in a better position financially, if I were United, I would be like, you know what, we're just going to cancel your contract. We're going to do it publicly. We're going to tell everybody why we're doing it. And the reason is we're just tired of your attitude. And we're literally going to say he can go be someone else's problem now. We don't want him here anymore. Like, I don't see the problem with that. Get him gone, dude. Kai says, any news on a new goalkeeper? The only news I've seen regarding goalkeepers we've been linked with that we haven't talked about is it might look like Joan Garcia is going to go to Barcelona, perhaps, which that was always going to be one of the likely destinations for a Spanish goalkeeper. Stay in La Liga, go to one of Spain's best teams. I mean, it is what it is. Castro said, I really hope we sell Anthony to Bayer Leverkusen. I would love Ten Hag to take Anthony. I'd love them to take Onana as well. Just take them all. Take Garnacho if he wants. Let me get caught up. Big up, Rich. Good to see you, my friend. Let me get caught up here. Raja says, wait, near 50, 45, 10 minutes. Just throwing out numbers. Brennan says, the stats to look at, the ones that you feel justify Bruno staying and of being important to our overall game. I mean, I don't understand the question. You said what's like not to use goals and assists, so I'm trying to figure out. I listed a lot of other stats that Bruno is basically among the best in since he's joined United, especially. I don't know what stats to do, man. 100 shots versus how many goals? I mean, you want to look at shot conversion. Even the top class strikers will maybe get a 33% shot conversion rate, so maybe 1 out of every 3 shots. From a midfield position, yeah, does Bruno take a lot of wild shots? Yeah, I've been very critical of that throughout the time on the channel. It's one of the biggest things I critique about him is some of these wild lash attempts at goals he does. I'm not sitting here trying to defend justifying staying. I mean, I'm just I'm just arguing that he's not bad. Like, I just like saying he can leave for free is just an odd take for me. Red Devil Rich says, if we get Mbeumo, Gio's face, does he not like Mbeumo? That's funny. Red Devil says, it's a team game. If Bruno leaves, we might well improve with new signings. Yeah, and that's always been my thing. It's never been about the money. And you guys know I've asked this question several times when it comes to Bruno. It's about, do you trust Ineos, Barada, Wilcox, Vavell, Amorim to an extent? Do you trust them to use that money wisely? Because I haven't seen enough from them yet to make a decision either way. I have seen enough of their overall decisions to make me question their decision making, both Amorim and Ineos. It's not the old regime where we're just going to go spend that 100 million on one player, for instance. And we've seen other clubs in the past get a big load of money for a player like Gareth Bale and just spend it so poorly. And so the question is, do you trust us to do that with that money as well? I'm not saying that's the deciding factor. I'm saying that is a major factor for me to consider when it comes to, just give me the 150. Well, we could very easily spend that money very, very poorly, and it's just wasted, and it just sets us back. And so you have to be really careful with how you spend it. The problem is finding that fine line between being careful with it and, just taking a risk with it and trusting the team you've assembled to guide and make those informed decisions. It's hard, but these are why you pay these people the money. This is why we have this new regime. If they're not going to trust them, if they're not going to make wise decisions, we'll find out, won't we? Red Devil says, Mbappe leaving didn't improve PSG, the new signings did. Yeah. I think that we've seen many times in the past, like the big reason why Liverpool lost to Real Madrid in that Champions League final a few years back is because they were so Mo Salah dependent that when he went down injured, they didn't have an answer. They just didn't. They didn't know what else to do. And that's what happens when you play kick and rush football. It's just kick and rush football. It's not a tactic. You can add a little sprinkling of a high press in there and call it a tactic, but it's not. It's just it's literal 80s Premier League football, man. It's freaking Brennan says, if you own a business, you look at cost to produce, right? It depends on the business, personally. I do own a business, and so I will. But my business is in a different industry. It's not like I own a coffee shop or a car dealership. I own a very different type of business. It just depends on the business. But I hear you. Brennan says, okay, and what's the average distance Bruno shoots from? From midfield, probably farther than a lot of other people. We don't tend to get a whole lot of good chances, and I think a lot of times Bruno does make poor decisions with his shots. I think a lot of time he has to take that on because nobody else in the team is scoring goals. I'm not arguing that he doesn't take long shots, but if you're taking this one stat about the distance that he shoots from, like compared to all the other stats that he's got, that literally put him at the top of the list in so many different metrics. It's just an argument. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna keep going back and forth, man. But my boy Nee, what up, dude? Nee, my guy. Haven't seen you in a minute, man. I hope you're doing well, bro. It says Ten Hag signed Flecken. Yep, that's right. Brentford seems the hierarchies Leverkusen aren't as dumb as ours. So, do Leverkusen not have Matty Kovar still? So Flecken's got to be a backup, right? Because they've got Matty Kovar, and Matty Kovar is a very good goalkeeper. Interesting. Yeah, they probably took one look at Onana and were like, no. Oh, no. Rich says, Mbeumo, top and expected assists. Not a stat I'm big enough, but it shows that he creates very good chances. Yeah, and it's the same with like Bruno, Rich. Like Bruno would probably have a lot more assists if we just had better attackers in the side. But yet Bruno still has a ton of assists. Bruno creates so many chances. He has so many he was literally leading the league in chance creation since he joined. I think there was like one season where he wasn't like top. The club is just can't get its shit together at the top of the pitch, man. It's really annoying. Box says, Liverpool already had a base of Salah, Mane, Firmino, Trent, Robertson, Henderson, etc. We have no base. We've failed to really have a proper rebuild because we just didn't want to take as long as it was going to take. Liverpool took 4 years for them to start doing anything while they were rebuilding, and it does take time. some of the players that you have for the first couple of years of a rebuild won't even be at the club to see that rebuild kind of start to bear fruit because they were just older. That could be where Bruno is right now. He might be at a place where he's like, yes, they're going to rebuild, but do I really want to put up with another couple of years while they do this? It's a question that footballers are going to ask, man. Rob says, I think we'll find out if Bruno does go. I think he will. Proof in the pudding regarding new management team. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's hard to build around a 30, 31-year-old, even if he is arguably the best player in the squad, personally. He's the one guy who everyone's looking to, and we all do it to as fans to say, we need a result here. Bruno's probably going to be the one to do it. So it's hard. It's hard to look past that, but at the same time, we have to move on at some point, and I think the money could definitely help us. I'm not saying we have to find a like-for-like replacement. We have to replicate the playmaking from deep positions, and we have to replicate the chance creation. But we can do that in other ways. It doesn't just have to be, let's find this one miracle pass, or let's find this one beautifully placed long ball. Like, players can do that. There are players who can do it, but there are players who also offer a little bit more in those positions. Like someone maybe with a little more physicality in a deeper role, someone with a little more press resistance, someone with a little more composure in advanced positions who's not taking shots from outside the box, Brendan Chappell. So Cash says, not about the money, but I don't think Bruno would leave knowing he's 31 now and not going to win a Premier League. I mean, that might be a reason for him to leave. He might just be like, I'm not winning anything here. Like, let's see like, he's not going to win anything anywhere, really, because nobody else is going to be in for him. Really, who else besides the Saudi club would pay that much for Bruno and would realistically offer a chance to win something? Like, I just don't know if that club exists right now. Box says, Fergie sold 3 big names in 95, but had a one-off class of 92 coming through and a world-class players. Yeah, we don't have this. That's a big part, too. We can't do, like, fully what Arsenal did and just get all these youngsters and have no experience. And that's why they've been struggling. They have no one of experience that has that history of a title battle, of a race, of defending anything, of challenging for trophies and pushing that extra mile. They have no experience at all. Raja says, no big name wants to go to uncompetitively. I mean, Messi went, and I mean, as Rich says, Cavardano went, Vitinha went, João Neves went. I mean, people do go because the thing at PSG, it's kind of like Real Madrid. You're almost expected to win the league at PSG. It's almost a foregone conclusion. What you're expected to do is challenge for the Champions League at clubs like Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, PSG. PSG have been in a couple Champions League final. Obviously, Bayern and Real Madrid have as well. So sometimes it's about being the player who's going to put them over the edge. And what Enrique did this year is nothing short of just perfect. Teresa says, anyone see the highlights from Malaysia and Tokyo? Yeah, I mean, I did watch both games. I mean, they're friendlies, but it is what it is. But personally, Brennan says, okay, what's the impact of shots from far away? And what are those shots based on? There being a genuine change to goal or generally desperation? It could be both. I mean, unless you literally want to sit down and watch every single match all over again and analyze. But I mean, you're being very specific about shots from outside the box and the distance. I mean, that's just, yeah, it is what it is. If this were another pundit, they would praise us for getting so many shots. Because remember, shots conceded was the stick that everyone used to beat us with last year. But nobody sat there and, like what you're doing, nobody sat there and said, where are these shots coming from? I've said that many times. We look at shots that we've conceded all last year. One of the first things I said was, where are these shots coming from? Look at our defense is forcing these teams to shoot from outside the box. Look at the XG on these shots and stuff. I hear you. I do hear you. I just think it's interesting that you're choosing one very, very obscure stat and ignoring a lot of the other stats. But you got to do what you got to do, man. Cavaradona, not that big name. Uh-oh. Danny says Kovar is back. How was Kovar backup? It doesn't make sense to me. He's excellent. Just bring him back. Just bring Kovar back. I take him back in a heartbeat. What are you guys saying here? We got 28 votes. So now you guys are rolling up to 120 million. All right. I'm going to end the poll there. I'm going to lock it at 120 mil. All right. So 120 mil. That's what you guys are going for. All the Bruno to Al Hilal stuff. Obviously, we've already been linked with replacements. The press are going to do that. It's not Danny Olmo this time. No, Turkey looks like he's going to Man City. This is coming from Ebola. Now, it's hard to know the Portuguese sources. Some of them are just out there, but Ebola is generally regarded as, among the Portuguese outlets, one of the most kind of reliable. But they are a little Benfica biased in terms of they favor Benfica a little bit, but that's beside the point. But coming from Ebola, Manchester United are apparently interested in Pedro Gonçalves. Now, this is not the first time we've been linked to Pedro Gonçalves. We were linked to him earlier this season. I remember including that in a watch-along video as well. So not the first time. Kind of took over for Bruno a little bit when Bruno left Sporting. Plays in that like 8 wider role, central role, whatever you want to call it. However, Sporting apparently want us to pay his release clause, which is like 67 million. All things being equal, I mean, Pedro Gonçalves is a very solid player, but he's had major injuries this season. He's missed over 30 games. He's had several muscle injuries in the last few years alone. Hard pass for me on Pedro Gonçalves, especially when there are other players out there for less. You can get 2 players for that. If you're smart and you do a little bit of scouting, if you utilize Wilcox, Vavell, and whatnot, you can get like 2 players for that. Big hard pass. Ricardo Diaz, who you guys know, he jumps on now and then. He's a big Sporting fan. He jumps in the chat. He left a comment on that short that I did yesterday before the final. Apparently Amorim really does love Pedro Gonçalves. Apparently he is a favorite. He did convert him kind of like to a more advanced 10 role, so he did see something in him. I think Amorim really likes those kind of players, like those Mason Mount, Pedro Gonçalves type players in that role. But again, it's just those injuries. I can't do that. And again, it's not, I don't think we need to think in terms of replacing Bruno. I think that we are a little bit too reliant on one player. I'm not saying that's necessarily by design. It's not like we were just building the squad around Bruno. I think that just by the fact that our squad is just not overall that great, I think that's just, we've had to rely on Bruno, and he's had to dig us out many, many times. But I do think the money could be better spent on rebuilding with multiple players, not just replacing Bruno with one player, not just saying we're losing Bruno, so we got to go get, Churke or something. Just, that was just an example. I don't know. Just whatever you want to pick. So it's not just like, okay, we lost Bruno, we replaced him. Not like Indiana Jones taking the sandbag and taking the idol. Like, we can spread that out and replicate what Bruno does in a couple other areas of the pitch. And if we sell Bruno before July, so before the end of June, if we sell him, that money counts towards this year's financial account. So that will count towards 24-25. So that would be a big help when it comes to PSR and FFP. Big help. That can put us at a good advantage going into next year because we don't have to count that all now. So I know you're saying, Sean, it's not about the money. It's not, but it is worth mentioning because it is a factor of consideration because we are very, very like bent over right now from PSR standpoint. So let me check up. I got to get caught up on the chat. Y'all are running rampant out here. Not a problem. I love it, but Dennis, welcome, Dennis. Good to see you. Sell Bruno. We need open heart surgery, as Ragnick said. No, yeah, we definitely do. And I think, again, to me, it's two questions, right? And I've said it a couple of times, like, do we sell him? Yes. Do you trust Ineos to spend that money wisely is a separate consideration. If this were 2 years ago and it was like Richard Arnold, Murtaugh, Woodward, whatever you want to call it, if it was those guys, it would be a hard no for me because I would not trust them to do it at all, like at all. Red Devils, he says, you say no to 100. No, I don't. I think if anyone says no to 150 million for Bruno, I think that they need to go get their head examined personally. But it is what it is. I think even Fergie said, if anybody offers you more than a player's worth, you have to take it. It's just wise. Let me see here. Brennan Chappell says 150 million for Deadwood. If we have 150 million worth of Deadwood in the squad, yeah, you take that for sure. Imagine Rashford, Sancho, Antony, Malacia, potentially Casemiro. I would sell Dallo personally too. I don't think Dallo really suits the system all that well. Hoyland maybe. I know a lot of you probably sell Hoyland. In Garnacho, you're starting to make a lot of money there on top of the budget we go in with. So we could do a lot. Rich thinks Bruno is leaving. like I said, there's no smoke without fire. You don't have meetings if there's not a possibility of leaving, right? And so I do think that, if the terms are all ideal, then yeah, we could see. This is about as close as I've ever felt that Bruno is probably going to be leaving personally. So, oh yeah, I forgot about Shaw. He needs to take a hint. Shaw needs to go to like freaking Sheffield United or something and just chill, dude. That's funny. All right, let me get caught up down. What are you guys are saying? Dennis wants to go for Stiller. Yeah, I did talk about Stiller in a video I did the other week on players. Now, I did the video before the DFB Pokal final. So the video was all about players who aren't going to be in Europe next year because we're not going to be in Europe next year. These are players we could sign. Obviously, Stuttgart did win the Pokal, so they are in Europa League. He probably still could leave. He's highly coveted. A lot of big clubs looking at him. I really like Angelo Stiller, but he's not the only midfielder that I've talked about on the channel. I did several. I did a Lamine Camara scouting report. I've talked about Arden Yashari, Aiden Hackney, several players. Nicholas Seiwold at Leipzig was in that video as well. A lot of really good midfielders out there. Rich says, I think Bruno does 3 years in Saudi and picks a league he feels like playing. And he could go back to Sporting after he plays in Saudi. I mean, I saw Javi Guerra is going back to La Liga now, right? The kid who went to like Al Ahly or something for the last 3 years or so. He's coming back to La Liga now, and he's still very young. So that's what Garnacho could do. We saw those Al Nassr links yesterday. Garnacho could go to Al Nassr for like 2 to 3 years, and he'll be in his mid-20s when he's done. Now, whether that the quality of football in the Saudi league might not prepare these players for a return to Europe, but cross that bridge when you get to it, maybe. Raja says Salomon Command a fee minimum 115 to 60. You guys are getting higher and higher. That's funny. Raja says apparently Osimhen is going to either Saudi or Juve. Or I didn't see any Juve links to Osimhen. I've seen some Gyokeres links to Osimhen. For sure. I mean, that's coming from Matteo Moretto. He reports that Juventus want to sign a top striker, and they have sat down with Victor Gyokeres. Is the report coming from Matteo Moretto? Doesn't look like they're feeling Kolo Muani. Vlahovic has been rumored to leave for a while now. I don't really rate Vlahovic personally, but Muppeteers does claim that we've held discussions with Victor Gyokeres, and he's still considering his options. Perhaps CL football. We've seen those reports too of Mbuemo that Champions League football isn't necessarily the deal breaker for some of these guys. I still can't believe there are people who think Gyokeres is going to flop in the Premier League. I don't get that at all. There's a guy, I think he's on Stratford Paddock. I won't name his name. You guys can go check it out. He doesn't think that the kind of goals that Gyokeres scores in Sporting are going to translate to the Premier League. And I'm like, do some people not realize that Gyokeres literally was balling out at Coventry for a couple of years? He's used to English football. He's very powerful. He's very, very fast. He plays in Amorim's. He knows Amorim's system. He plays the way Amorim wants strikers to play. Like, I don't see how this is a thing, but I don't think we're going to be getting two of Sporting's best players, though, in Gonçalves and Gyokeres. I don't think that would put us in their good books, personally. That's funny. Oh, let me get caught up down here. You guys are just having a good old chat here. Roger said, need more than 14 likes. Yeah, that would be nice. I don't know how many likes we have. You guys let me know. Let me refresh and see what we're looking at, because I haven't opened up this other window in a while here. 13 likes. Yeah, let's get up to 15. I like those nice round fives. So Casper is a big fan of the transfer window. There's always something. I know a lot of people who like when the new shirts are released. They like looking at those because people like to spend their money on shirts. I'm not one to talk, clearly. Brendan says, you then have to look at that. Why are most of our shots coming from position that offers zero threat? Because our strikers and our attackers are garbage. I mean, they just are. Nobody. And you see it, like Casemiro was ripping off shots the other day, and they were all going wide. Dorgu's just not wanting to shoot. Højlund is just like non-existent. Garnacho, non-existent. Ahmad, I mean, nobody else is shooting. And then we've seen in these last couple matches too that like these players are getting in good positions, even positions to cross, and they're not. They're looking to find Bruno. Where's Bruno? I don't know if they've been told to do that or if these players don't trust themselves to do anything, and they only just. But these players aren't trying. Bruno is just always the one they look to get something. So that worries me. That's a very big worry. And I've said that when I saw it happening. If you go watch some of those match reactions, Raja says, "Are you playing FIFA tonight?" I don't know if I'm playing tonight. I've been painting all day. I had to go. We're painting. I had to go run to the hardware store and get a ladder because we had to paint the stairs. And I hate ladders. I really hate. I hate having to get on the roof and clean gutters because I hate ladders. I never liked ladders, but so I'm super tired today. It's been a very long day. But maybe I don't know. We'll see what time we get wrapped up. But we'll see. Rob says, any chance of a poll on who will be the hardest to get rid of? Sancho, Rashford, Malacia, Anthony. Ask and you shall receive. Rob, I'll put a poll up for you. I love you guys. Oh, let's see. Who will be the most difficult to move on for you? What do you got there? Malacia, and I'm surprised you didn't put Garnacho in there. I almost put Snatcho. That's not a good word to put down there. Malacia, I would be surprised. Anthony's probably got a better shot, but yeah, I'll let you guys run with that. Go for it. Anthony's probably one of the better ones because he's having a good season at Betis, so I could see him going someplace else. Let me see what you guys do. Box says, how much do Stiller and Yashari cost? Yashari is probably going to cost you around 35, 40, maybe even a little more. Stiller is probably going to cost you a little bit more. I think he's a little bit more of the favorite right now. So both are probably going to cost you anywhere between 40, 45. Stiller probably maybe more up to 50. But I like Yashari a lot. You guys know that a lot. So, but both I would say both probably easily 75 to maybe even pushing 80. It just depends. But because Yashari literally just signed a new contract. So they just signed, Club Brugge just signed Yashari this last summer, but they already renewed his contract mid-season because he was doing so well. So many clubs wanted him. So they had to protect that. But I like both of them a lot. Lancer Evo. Nice. That reminds me of like Fast and the Furious is Lancer Evos. Replace Højlund, can't even score against Asian team out. I mean, he can't score. I don't read too much into friendlies, especially like these postseason, preseason friendlies. These are basically just training. I mean, you can literally replace your entire 11, like, and no one like. They're friendlies. I don't read too much into them. So, but I hear you. Raja, Anton stats. Yeah, a lot of people are talking about stats too. He is a little bit more of an Ugarte, like a power, right? Like a powerhouse, right? Box says, what's Man City's PSR saying? I don't even know. I give up trying to figure out what's going on at City, man. It's ridiculous. Yeah, but like Danny says, Statch has got that like height, that build too. That I like. Seawald's got a little bit of that going on too. I like that. Let me see. Casper says Arsenal getting Shesko. Is that like a legit thing, or is that something that we read the other day? I haven't checked Twitter in a little while, so I don't know what's going on up there. Does Onana suit the system? Our system? I think he suits the way that we try to build out from the back, but I can't have that be the only thing a keeper offers. You got to be able to make saves, and you got to be able to command your area. Those are my top two priorities for a keeper. Don't care less with how good you are at your feet. I really don't. Let me get out of here. Raja says, Job, less PR than his Galactico Real brother. Job is good. He's not as good as Jude, but he plays a little different role than his brother, Job. Jude's going to operate a little bit higher up the pitch, and Job is kind of like this roaming kind of six, but not like a defensive six. He's more like a deep line, almost like a playmaker, but he does get around the pitch. He's very slow, though. I will say that. What are you guys saying here in this poll? I forgot that I just put that out there. What are you guys saying here? So you guys think so far, 56% of you think Rashford is going to be the most difficult to move on. Next is Sancho. Interesting. What makes Rashford his wages probably? Well, Sancho's on big wages too, so. Bad Time says, oh my God, it's late night Sunday DSM-5. Yeah, I mean, we can dive into the DSM-5 if you want. If you guys need help getting to sleep, we'll read you all sorts of stuff. That is the go-to manual for psychologists, for therapists like myself. You know, anytime someone rolls up, they get a diagnosis. So it is what it is. So, but big up, everyone. Box says, who says you guys can go watch, go look on Twitter. You'll find out. So, oh man, I'm way behind, and you guys are getting so involved. Boom, boom, boom. Lancher says Hoyland stuck out like a sore thumb with missed passes, failed flicks, and pointless runs. Increasingly looked like a lost cause. I wouldn't read too much into the friendly. It didn't look like we were told to go that hard. Nobody was really doing a whole lot. I mean, we were playing youngsters. We were making subs like 30 minutes in. So again, it's a friendly. We were there. It was a cash grab, tourism, appeal to the fans, get some maybe appeal to some sponsor opportunities. It is what it is. It was a 2-game postseason little mini thing, but I wouldn't read too much into it personally. But yes, Hoyland probably needs to go. But let's see. Let me pick a random chat here. So Brennan says, okay, let me put a different spin to this. Didn't Hoyland look good at Atlanta? Yes. And I've defended Hoyland to the hilt on this channel. You guys have been watching that for a while. You know that. Hoyland looked good at Atlanta for a couple reasons. They played to his strengths to start. He's very fast. They played a lot of counterattacking football. He was on a lot of counterattacks. Hoyland wasn't at Atlanta to be the guy. He was thrown into that position because of injuries to Zapata. And so he had to come in, and he had a breakout season, excellent season. Problem is, and I like Hoyland a lot, but we just never really played to his strengths as well as we should. And he shouldn't have been our starting striker as a 20-year-old when we signed him. Remember, he was 20 years old when we signed him. So we should have looked at Ten Hag the way he wanted to play, and we should have said, does Hoyland suit this? Probably not. Now, again, we wanted to get another striker. We just didn't. We wanted to get 2, but we couldn't afford it. So, but yes, he was good because of the way they played. We just don't really play to his strengths, unfortunately. And he's just kind of regressing. He's really just kind of getting worse. And so I think it has a lot to do with his confidence. You stick a young kid with all that responsibility to a club like United, and if he doesn't hit the ground running, you're setting him up for failure. And we really haven't helped him either the way things have been going this last year. So it is what it is. Brennan says, I don't believe transfers solve anything, as the past 10 seasons have shown us. I think the main issue is within the club. Well, I think it's both. I think that the main issue, I think the fact that the issues are with the club are why the last 10 years have not worked out with transfers, because we didn't have a plan. We didn't have an identity. We were just reacting. We were just spending money like it was going out of style. But clubs you can make the transfers and you can rebuild. It doesn't have to be just about buying. I've said it many times. You need to build, not buy. So it's about how you spend that money, not the fact that you just spend it. Spending it doesn't solve anything. It's just how you spend it, if that makes sense. So I think it's both and, personally. Brendan says that one's sure a swing. We don't know what's going to win the league. There is a correlation between high wages and success, and that's just because high wages tend to mean you have better players in the squad. And that's coming from Soccernomics behind me. So, but again, correlation. So Brennan says, I actually said we should have gone for Slot when we got Eric Ten Hag on Rich's stream. Interesting. I like Ten Hag. I watched a lot of Ajax under Ten Hag, and they played so well. Ajax under Ten Hag played more like Prime United than United have played in a while. It just all fell apart for Ten Hag when he got here. He just stopped playing that way. And I get it. We didn't have the players that could do it. But, bro, you brought in so many of these players and you still don't play that way. It doesn't make sense to me. So I don't get that at all. But Casper says, Manchester City probably not finished yet. Neither Liverpool and transfer window. Yet they'll probably sign more players. So Liverpool, who they get? Liverpool are probably they got Frimpong, right? They announced Frimpong. Mardashvili is on his way in. I don't know what's happened with Allison. They wasted money on Chiesa. They signed a bunch of midfielders a few years back, and they already don't like some of them, like Endo. They never liked Endo. I don't get why they signed Endo then. They want another 10. They were linked to Turkey for a minute. Verts, right? So, why did you go? You got Jobaslai, you've got Yakpo, you've got all these. They're signing so many players, world. Brennan says, in a perfect world or with Glazers and Ineos in charge. I don't know if you're having a conversation with me, if you guys are having your own chat. So I'm going to let you guys go with that. I just want to get caught up and out here. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Brennan. Two things can be true. We can say that Bruno is not the problem or a problem for United, but also say it's probably the best thing for us right now with where we are if we sell him in order to move forward. Both things can be true. It doesn't always have to be a either or kind of a thing, though. Yeah, the structure was poor. Ten Hag did not help himself, Rob, though, by basically taking charge of the talent identification, the scouting, because his talent identification was garbage, personally. But it is what it is. I mean, the managers live and die by these decisions. I mean, the one he got right was Licha. Unfortunately, Licha's just been injured, so it is what it is. Let me get caught up. Okay, we're about caught up here. Fine. There were so many chats. I didn't get through all of them because it looked like some of you were kind of talking to each other, so I didn't want to interrupt that. But Brennan says, I also think most people forget the other factor that leads to our failure. The other team. It's not like we're playing NPCs. No, it's not. I think that the fact that we failed for so many years to play catch up when these teams were already building long-term projects, cities, Arsenals, Newcastles, Liverpools, they're building instead of just buying. We haven't done that well. And now they're at a place where they've built and they've established stuff. And now they're still strengthening. Like, we are playing catch up in so many ways because we've never got it right. Not once after Fergie retired. It's just we didn't. And that put us back. Every year we didn't really start a proper rebuild. Really didn't. And it wasn't just about buying players. It was about sitting down behind the scenes, doing what Liverpool did. I hate giving credit, but it's the only example I can think of, right? Not behind the scenes and say, how do we want to play moving forward? We're in a brand new situation. No Fergie, no David Gill. Opportunity here to really transition United into the new era. What do we want that to look like? What kind of players we want to have? What kind of style we want to play? What kind of managers are out there that we can do this, that we could be a part of this for a long-term project here? We never did that. We went for just instant success. That first season, there was a shit show. David Moyes, Marouane Fellaini. That was it that first summer. For some reason, they thought that David Moyes could get the last ounce of football from all these players that Ferguson got the last ounce of football from, and it just did not work. I said it before. I'll say it again. Go watch season 1. If we were going to replace Fergie with anybody and expect to have success that in 13-14, it would have had to have been Jose Mourinho. Go check out that video if you want to learn why I feel that way. Rob says that 7-0 to Liverpool, I would have sacked everyone involved. It was a disgrace, but we still finished above them in the league that season, and we still won the League Cup, and we knocked them out of the FA Cup that season as well. So I'll take that. I mean, any day of the week. But Bass says, I feel the same about the Spurs Cup final. Yeah, I was not happy with that final. I don't want to talk about the final anymore. Brendan says, it's like we feel we deserve the win by just showing up because we're Manchester United, forgetting the hard work that got us here. Well, and that's part of the problem. I think that mentality has trickled down from the top because that's what the Glazers have done. They've just said, oh, we're Manchester United. Like, that's enough, right? We don't have to do anything else. People will come, people will be here, people will buy tickets and merch and whatever. And it's because that and part of it is the players too. If you're talking about a match day thing, it's because the players have no resilience. There's zero mentality in this squad. They don't know what to do. And you've seen it. We start the games off well. And then when we all of a sudden we're like, oh, wait, we're supposed to score. We didn't score. Oh, no, how did we concede? And then everything just falls apart. There's no resilience. There's no bounce back. There's no ability to cope with setbacks in the moment. And that's been a problem. Again, lack of quality in the squad in terms of the mentality in so many ways. Bad Time says, with the Champions League and World Club Cup, Chelsea and City are likely to make around $250 million each. Well, throw enough money at it, the owners will get involved. So let's move on to some more news here because I've got I wanted to make sure I caught up on the chat, but I do have some more stuff to talk to you guys about. A little bit more, not a ton. It looks like there's a chance Franco Mastantuono could be going to PSG. They're just literally just stockpiling like attackers at PSG. They're just buying every attacker they can think of, because Desiree Doué is basically the same player as Mastantuono. I don't like Luis Enrique. Is just like, if you can play kind of anywhere in that front three behind a striker, I'm signing you. You can play 10, you can play left, you can play right. Come to PSG. We're making things happen. Romano reported that last night that they were talking to him. DiMarzio has said that that's a done deal, Mastantuono to PSG. So again, I think PSG might be looking to sell players. They've got some players in their squad who probably want to get more minutes, who aren't getting minutes. You're Gonçalo Ramos. I talked yesterday about Lee Kangin. Zaire Emery, I mentioned already. I would take all three of those at United right now, personally. And there are, but I mean, even if you're not looking at PSG, I mean, if people are bumming about Mastantuono going to PSG, I mean, there are several players out there. There are other players very similar to Mastantuono, for instance. I talked about one. I did a scouting report on one a couple weeks ago. Meyer Carrizo, very, very good player at Vélez Sarsfield. I just signed him in my FC25 career mode. So I wanted, like, it was either him or Dibbling, and I opted for this kid because I try to keep it realistic and immersive. So I'm like, oh, we're looking at South American players at United. Let's sign this kid. So sign him. We'll see how he works out. But let's see. Bath Time says it is bedtime. Well, big up Bath Time. Thanks for stopping by, man. Agile says start games off well. I think we start most games quite poorly under Ten Hag and Amorim. I would respectfully disagree. We've had several games where we, like, the first 5, 6, 7 minutes, like even that final, we were doing fine in that final for the first 5, 6, 7 minutes, and then we stepped off the gas a bit. Even against Villa, we looked dominant, but we were getting into good positions, and we just weren't doing anything with them. And it's just it's really annoying to watch. It really is. The times where we don't tend to start well are when we're playing the teams like the Newcastles, the Liverpools, the Forests, those physical fight, the Palaces, the Wolves, those physical teams who are just, because they're so much more physical and fit than we are, they're always going to be in an advantage in that regard. And that's what we need to improve in the squad as well. We are way behind in terms of the Premier League when it comes to physicality, but that does mean, like, when we're playing in Europe, that we are more physical, because that's just the difference in Premier League these days. Is Zaire Emery gettable? Probably, I don't know. Probably not. But I mean, again, that's why I put out yesterday, is it worth putting in a cheeky bid? He's not getting minutes. They signed João Neves. They got Vitinha. I mean, is he going to get minutes? It's worth to me putting in a cheeky bid. He's a young midfielder. I think he could do with a fresh change of scenery. I think he does improve us. That could maybe allow us to move on Casemiro. I have doubts over whether or not Ugarte is in Amorim's plans long term, personally, but I've been wrong before. But 20 minutes against Chelsea, no minutes in the final, very little minutes in the last couple of games is a question mark for me. So moving on, I want to talk about Mbeumo because you guys talked about him earlier. Muppeteers claims that while talks between United and Brentford regarding Mbeumo are progressing, United's chances are improving, apparently, according to United Muppeteers. Now, he also says that we are big fans of Tyler Dibbling, who I just mentioned as well. We got those reports about Dibbling a while back. Remember when they were talking about a crazy 100 million price tag? Muppeteers claims, though, that United see Dibbling as an alternative, a backup option to Bryan Mbeumo, who apparently still is a priority target for that right wing position. What does he play in this system, and how is Tyler Dibbling a Bryan Mbeumo alternative? They're nowhere near each other. 64% of you say Rashford is going to be the most difficult to move on next, and Sancho's next on the list. Interesting. But yeah, how is Tyler Dibbling the next thing below? Like, what does your list consist of? Who's next on that list? I wonder. It doesn't make sense to me. In what world is Tyler Dibbling an Mbeumo alternative? I like Dibbling. I think he has something, but going from Mbeumo to Dibbling, that just doesn't make sense. I still like, if we go for Mbeumo, is he a 10? Is he a right wing back? Is Ahmad the 10? Because Amorim seems to like Ahmad in the 10. He puts him there all the time. But but maybe that's that versatility thing, right? Players that can do a little bit of everything. I saw a Turkish outlet called Fanatic, who they're very popular apparently, but apparently the report we saw, remember when Galatasaray were reportedly interested in Casemiro, and then Fenerbahce were reportedly interested in Casemiro, but now this outlet is claiming that now Besiktas are interested in Casemiro. Remember, they are managed now by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and so that's interesting. But apparently, according to the report, Amorim is open to Casemiro's departure. I think we all are open, despite his uptick in form. I think that if somebody makes an offer for Casemiro, you have to consider it. But again, Casemiro is someone you have to replace because he does offer more than Ugarte in that role. He may not have Ugarte's leg, but he is better on the ball, and he does have that experience and stuff. So if Casemiro leaves, is that an Ederson shaped hole that we were feeling? Are we looking for Ederson? We've been linked to Ederson a lot. That's the midfielder that I've seen us linked to most is Ederson, but I know some of you wouldn't take Ederson. With Ederson, for me, it's going to depend on the price, which I don't get because he's in the prime of his career. The price tag we're seeing is super low when you consider maybe prices are just getting back to a normal level. I don't know, but it's interesting. I think Casemiro to Turkey could be a good fit, but Galatasaray seems like the better fit just with the kind of players that they're bringing in there. Ridwan, welcome. Says Dibbling is just based on potential. He looks okay, but extremely overpriced, I have to say. Yeah, he's definitely overpriced. I do like what I see from him, but he's definitely one for the future. He's definitely like what Garnacho should have been. If Dibbling were to come to United, he'd be like the rotation option to come in to get in minutes at the end of matches, maybe start in some of these early domestic cup runs against, like Scunthorpe United, or no offense or anything with Argyle or something like that. Sorry, anyone out there who is a supporter of those clubs. I just picked non-league teams. It just is what it is. But that's the problem with Garnacho. He's too many minutes, too many starts, not enough time and room really to learn and develop and to kind of manage those minutes. He was kind of given that starting role very, very soon. And to his credit, he has these bright spots. His numbers are good this season, but his attitude is just shit. And he just hasn't improved in some key areas. Agile says, Mbeumo could play right wing back or 10 if we were struggling in a false 9, though Mbeumo heading could improve. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Mbeumo. If we get Cunha and Mbeumo and then somehow land the top striker, like 21's coming. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. 21's coming, but that's going to be insane. Casper says, I'd keep Casemiro for now. Yeah. Casemiro's having an uptick. He's 32 now, 33. It's you can tell that he's not quite able to hang, and especially with the way the Premier League is going, where it's so that midfield battle too is so tough. You have to be physical. You have to be able to get around the pitch. You have to have some recovery pace against these Premier League sides now because they want to boss that midfield. They want to win that ball in the high positions, and they want to hit you on those quick transitions. Casemiro is a little bit of a liability. Now, if you're playing against a team where you're going to have a little bit more of the ball, or even maybe the opposite, maybe what we've seen before the international break, where maybe when we're sitting in a little bit of a low block, maybe that's the better opportunity. I don't know. But again, it's kind of like the Bruno thing. You get your player over your 30s. If someone's going to offer you a bit of money, it's hard to turn it down. So it wouldn't be the top priority for me. Onana is probably my biggest priority right now, but I hear you, Casper. Ridwan says he has to stay high up in Mbeumo. He's a goal scorer and chance creator. And yeah, and that's how we replace Bruno is we don't look for one, like I said, we don't look for like. We try to replace those goals in an aggregate across the front. Maybe instead of just the best number 9 in football, we get 3 players who are just are good for like 15 to 20 goals or something a piece, and we spread those goals around. It's nice to have multiple threats and not be so one-dimensional. It's nice to not have to just rely on one person like we've been doing with Bruno. It's nice to be able to do that. So, but again, it's about how you spend the money. Do you trust us to do that? Casper doesn't think we're going to get Jamie Giddens. Yeah, I remember he was at Dortmund for a minute, wasn't he? Who was the other? I always get him mixed up with Ayling Jr. Ayling Jr. and Bino Gittens. It's these freaking English players and these hyphenated names, man. They do me. Dewsbury Hall, Kyle Walker-Peters, all this junk, dude. Kai says, if we can sell Bruno, we can sell Casemiro. It's just if somebody wants to buy him, Casemiro's already kind of said he wants to stay here and see out his contract. Of course he does. He's getting paid a lot of money. No one else is going to pay him that money unless he goes to the Saudi League. But I don't know if he's going to go to the Saudi League, so... What I don't want is to see him run out his contract and then leave for free because that just makes us look like idiots. Ridwan says Casemiro doesn't have the suitors. He's leaving in 12 months anyway. Contract ends. I mean, if Besiktas want him, but I mean, like you're saying, if he's going to chill, I think Amorim likes Casemiro, but I think everyone's kind of on the same page. Like he's not going to play every single match, but he is a big game player. I think that we do. Casemiro's had he's dropped a little bit of weight. He's getting more involved. I think Casemiro he's changed a little bit of the way he plays, and I think that's suited us. But he can't play against every single team because he can get run down. We saw that Liverpool match earlier in the season. He was just he had an absolute nightmare that match against Liverpool. So that's where Casemiro can be a liability. But That's because we bought so many players like Casemiro, like Eriksen, even Pogba to an extent, who defending against these fast-paced teams on a counterattack, they are just red carpets or red cards in Casemiro's case. But I wouldn't say Casemiro is the problem, but he's definitely someone we if we're not going to sell him this summer, we have to start identifying replacements. If Casemiro is leaving for free in a year from now, in January when like Vélez Sarsfield's season is over, go get Christian Ordonez, bring him in January, let him kind of bed in, and then move him in. It's not hard to do. It's like simple stuff. Casemiro is a bit of a problem. He was good. Yeah, he's definitely not going to be the same. We're not using the same as Madrid did. He's not like the deepest player in this midfield three in a 4-3-3. But he is better on the ball than like Ugarte is. He's just not as quick as Ugarte. So it is what it is. But that's going to do it for me, you guys. Please make sure you hit that like button for me. Please make sure you're subscribed if you are new. I love to see the community grow. I like to see more people get involved. Love to see all the new faces tonight. Had an absolute blast. If you weren't able to catch the live, leave a comment. You guys know I do check the comments, so I will respond to those. Make sure you're checking out the memberships if you want to learn how to get more involved in the channel. Make sure that you are going to check out GoGoalShop. You guys know that there's a code in there for $5 off if you register with that code to get GoGoalShop shirts. And then be sure to come back on Tuesday afternoon. We're going to do keep sell video for the squad. So get involved in that. And then, go check out the UVE store as well. Tons of merch on there. You guys don't have to give any money to the Glazers. None of it's too expensive. And it's one-of-a-kind gear because it was designed by yours truly. Don't judge me too harshly. I get bored and I just make the design. So, but check them out. They're pretty sick. So until then, you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, whatever's left of it. Hopefully be back with some big news this week. But again, come back on Tuesday for sure. And if there is big news tomorrow or even Tuesday morning, you guys know I'll be here for that. But yes, as Rob says, hit that like button for me on the way out. Casper, big up. Take it easy, guys. Thank you, everyone who joined. Absolutely love it. And I will see you guys later.